Good day, everyone. Hope you are having a great day. It is winter here now, so I'm wearing like two different jackets. Today, I thought let's go through some different currencies around the world. So, starting off with a 100 Rand South African note, you can see that it is essentially Nelson Mandela's face in the front. So, this is 100 Rand note from the South Africa Reserve Bank. It's a nice blue colored ink, and then you can see the watermarks down the middle here. Quite a wild design, and in memory of Nelson Mandela, which was a great person, hero for all South Africans. And then at the back, you can see there is more sort of the blue ink. And then this is the buffalo. So it is one of the big five animals in South Africa. I think there's like the lion, the cheetah, the elephant. So they all appear on the South Africa bills. So this is the back of the 100 Rand bill. And then you can see the buffalo, a nice colored design as well. Very nice, very clear and authentic. Next, we're going to have a look at the 50 Rand bill. So this is sort of a red or light pink-ish color. So you can see once again there's Nelson Mandela's face in the front, and then it's a nice 5-0 on the side here, and then once again down the middle there's a nice pink reddish watermark. Very well designed. It's nice and clear. And then at the back, I really like this. So you can see it's a big lion, which is once again one of the big five animals here. And then it's got some nice images here. I don't know if you can see it that clearly. It's essentially like a small lion in the background. So this is the lion face. And then there's another lion sort of in the distance. Yeah, very nice, 50 Rand bill. And then now let's move on to the 20 Rand bill. So the South African Reserve Bank have actually decided to issue a new bunch of currencies. So this is the old 20 Rand bill, which will be replaced shortly. So you can see once again there's Nelson Mandela's face in the front, and then the watermark down the middle. This is like a nice brown colored note. It's 20 Rand issued by the South African Reserve Bank on top. And then at the back, this is essentially the elephant, also one of the big five. So when people speak about the big five, they essentially mean the big five in the big five animal that's quoted here. So there's the elephant, the cheetah, and then I think the rhino is also on there. So you can see it's got a nice elephant face, and then in the background there's a small elephant sort of walking past. So this is the old 20 Rand South African bill. So now let's take a look at the new one. So these bills are only being printed now, essentially 2013. So you can see the design is more or less the same, although they did change a few aspects. You notice that the color is a bit more sort of, it's still brown, but a different shade of brown. The design for Nelson Mandela's face is essentially kept the same. The watermark is more distinct, and you can see this faint 20 Rand mark. So this is essentially the new 20 Rand note. And then that would start slowly coming into circulation and phase out the old 20 Rand notes. And the South Africa Reserve Bank does this essentially every few decades to ensure there's no counterfeit, things like that. So at the back of the new 20 Rand bill, you can see the design of the elephant has changed dramatically. They have increased the number to 3 now. And then it's sort of a more loving and clear image, whereas the other one was sort of more the face of the elephant followed by a distant elephant in the back. So the new 20 rand is actually much better than the old design, I think. And yeah, the color is much better, easier on the eye. But yeah, nevertheless, it will start slowly phasing out the old 20 rand bills. Very nice, very good design. Like it a lot. And it really shows the tremendous man that Nelson Mandela was. I mean, he was in prison for such a long time. I think 26 years on Robben Island. He was confined, treated very badly by the guards. Yet when he got his freedom, he essentially forgave everyone, invited even the prison guards to his speech, forgiving the country. And it's no wonder that he was such a great hero and received the Peace Prize. Okay, so this is the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. So for those of you who are not sure, Zimbabwe is essentially a failed state. It is recognized by the United Nations as basically there's so much corruption, there is so much mismanagement. The government is unable to sustain its own currency and obviously sustains people. So the denominations of these currencies are astronomical. If you visit Zimbabwe, you will see that most of the trades are happening on a barter system. So people are actually saying, can I have some shoes? I'll give you this much food. And other than that, there's a lot of the US dollar circulation. So their own currency is actually not being used very much because it's just hyper-inflated away, which means there's 100, 200% every single month that the prices go up. So it's ridiculous trying to, keep the currency the same. So this is a $50,000 one. You can see from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Yeah, the design is actually pretty nice, and it feels like comfortable, same material, and yeah, it's very neatly printed. At the back, it's basically the Niagara Fall. So this is a famous waterfall essentially in Zimbabwe, and yeah, if you ever have a chance to go visit it, there's a lot of tourists that go there taking pictures and such. It's a very nice place, but this essentially is worth nothing. Like, it has no monetary value whatsoever because people are just not, like, countries and other people are not trading in the Zimbabwe currency, so no one actually uses it. And this is even more ridiculous. So you can see that the currency essentially gone from $500 million. So it just shows that the devaluation of the currency is really, really crazy. So you can see the designs more or less the same as the other one. It's just a more bright red color, whereas the other one is more of a purple or light purple color. And yeah, I think in the 2010s they had the $1 trillion note, which is just ridiculous. Like, why are you even printing that? Just ignore. Yeah, and then the back, it's the Zimbabwe Reserve Bank again, and then this is a nice dam with essentially a fish coming out of the water, whereas the other note basically had the Niagara Falls. Yeah, so I don't think you actually get these notes anymore. I think they've stopped printing them a while back, so yeah, I don't think they're accessible. Next, we're moving on to China. So this is a 5 yen Chinese note. So over here you can see it says the Reserve Bank of China. And this figure, much like Nelson Mandela here in South Africa, this is Chairman Mao, but he was basically the person that united China and became its first Republic of China, the president. And he basically led China to victory against Japan and other invaders. And then this is basically the symbol for the Chinese nation, I suppose. So you can see the 5 stars on top that appears on the Chinese flag. And then that is the Forbidden City, the front of the Forbidden City. And then at the back, it is a scenery from the mountains in China. So you can see there is some English explanation. So this is Wu Yen. So this is the 5 yen currency, and then that's basically a mountain surrounded by trees. It's just a site in China. It's a light sort of blue purple color, so it is very nice and easy on the eyes. Next, we're moving on to the 10 yen currency. This is more of a light blue color. So this, you can see, is more of a newer currency that they printed about 20 years ago, I think. And it's also got the president or Chairman Mao on top there. And yeah, the design is fairly great. There's a flower here on the bottom, Reserve Bank of China on top, and the same symbol here. And then at the back, so the scenery is a bit different to the 5 rand one. The 5 yen one essentially has a mountain, and the 10 yen one is a different scenery completely. So over here it says Shandong Renmin. I think this is one of the valleys along the Chinese. They had 2 rivers, the Yellow River and I think the Yangtze River. So this is one of the sceneries there. And then you can see at the bottom here it says 2005. So yeah, it's literally 20 years ago. But this is still a very nice note. So these notes are actually being phased out completely because China is actually using a digital currency. So essentially you don't have physical cash anymore. You walk around with your cell phone, which has a device, almost like an app linked to the cell phones. So in the West, you would have PayPal or credit card or Venmo. So in China, they have like QQ or Baidu, one of those apps, and then you basically link your bank account directly to the cell phone. So everywhere you go, you carry your cell phone, and that's essentially your wallet, your ID, everything, and then you can use that to swipe to pay for all the stuff. Okay, so next, going on to the 1 yen currency. So this is a very, very light green colored one. So design is more or less the same as the other one. You can see there's a flower here, Chairman Mao, and then the Reserve Bank once again on top. This color is much, much lighter to the 10 one, but you can see the face and everything else is still the same. The size is a bit smaller. So as you go bigger up in denomination, the note becomes sort of bigger in size. Then at the back, so this is printed in 1999, and then this is another site in China. So it seems that at the back of each note, there is a different scenery. Yeah, so this looks like a lake of some sort with some nice man-made lights on top, which is very nice. Okay, so next let's go to the 5. So this, if it translates, it would be essentially 50 cents, so half 1 yen. So you can see this is a much smaller note now in terms of size, and the color is a purple-ish color. And then over here it says Wu Jiao, which means essentially 50 cents. And then the Reserve Bank of China once again on top. And then these looks essentially like the traditional Chinese people. So in China, you actually have 56 different recognized cultures or subcultures. So like in America, you have different states, California, New York, things like that. In China, you have these different cultures of people that gets recognized, I guess, if I were to compare. And then at the back, so this is completely different. So the color is essentially a purple to red, and then you can see there's no sceneries. It just has the big Chinese sort of symbol in the middle of it. So if you compare that to the other note, which had sceneries, this is just one big stamp of the Chinese symbol. Yeah, so you can see the color is much brighter. I like the bigger notes one. Like the scenery makes it really nice, and then the watermark down the middle. It's very faint, but it is also distinguishable with the eye, so that also recognizes that. But you don't have the watermark on these smaller notes. So yeah, there isn't anything that distinguish. Like, I guess this is much easier to counterfeit than the bigger notes. And then the last note I have from China is this one. So this is an older version of the 10 Rand one. It has the same scenery, but you can see it's a bit worn out. So the color does fade. So this is a newer version, and that's the older version. You can see the color has faded dramatically, and the white is not as distinguishable. And then the front is essentially, yeah, so you can see that this is a newer note and that's the old note. But yeah, overall quite good design. And then the last note I have is actually from the European Union. So this is €5. So the European Union was formed, I think, in 1999 or thereabout, like just before the 2000s. So it's basically a group of 16 or 19 countries, so like Italy, France, Greece, all of that. So all those countries came together, signed a unilateral agreement, and they formed the EU. So they don't have like the Bank of Greece. They have one central bank, which is the European Bank, and that governs all the currency within those countries. So this is essentially the €5, and that's the symbol for the European Union. And then I think this is just one of the significant buildings. So you can see there's some, I think this is Bank of, yeah, there's quite a few banks here, so I'm not sure what those stand for. If you know, please let me know with a comment or something. But yeah, I've never been to Europe, so I don't know too much about the currencies. So you can see here is basically the map of Europe. So like Spain, Italy, Greece, Germany, and the UK is also there. But obviously the UK has left the EU now. So that's basically the essentially. And then you can see this nice bridge across it. So this is also a very light colored one. It looks very, very great. Yeah, so that's all the notes I have for you today. Have a great day.